How are you?
I'm okay. A little offended. Well, our oldest daughter keeps getting in trouble.
Our oldest daughter.
Or not our oldest, our youngest, sorry.
Yeah, how so?
And everyone's like, yeah, little Caroline, just coming back to me, just assuming it's me. And you called me oppositional.
So what? Okay, so those are two separate things we need to address. So what about the child getting into trouble offends you? Because I guess the question I would put to you is, do you feel that is an unfair assessment as to the behavior that you demonstrated and continue to demonstrate to this day?
Like what behavior?
Okay, I'm not getting into the behaviors. I'm saying, based on your own intimate knowledge of you and how you behave, do you think that that is an unfair statement?
Well, I need more specific examples. So maybe I'll put the most recent, what she got in trouble for.
Well, we can get into that. It ties into my question, though. So we'll probably discuss that a little more in a bit. So we can go just in a generic term. You are oppositional.
Why?
You were about to say, no, I'm not. And then you
I was
changed it.
not. No, I was going to say why.
Because you are. I don't know why. I don't know why you are. Like, if I can answer that.
Explain how I'm oppositional.
Anytime you are presented with a please don't, or could you not, or I need you to, your brain immediately jumps to, well, yeah, of course, that's the way I'm going to do it. Or my new favorite is this level of conversation with eye contact, and it doesn't exist after you've done the thing that we talked about not doing. You're like, we didn't talk about that. Yeah, we did. No, we didn't.
Like,
See, this is the problem. If I write all this stuff down, I seem like a psychopath. But then when you ask me about it specifically, I don't have it written down, so I don't have examples.
you usually say don't after I already have an idea in my head.
No, I mean, yes, that happens for sure, because as soon as you state the idea, I realize how colossally bad it is. Or typically when I say don't, it's because your idea is going to cause me a considerable amount of work and stress to deal with. Like chopping up the middle of our island because you wanted a suffocating little secret hideaway.
Yeah, it would have suffocated us
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And I said, no, don't do that. And thought we were done and came back to find what?
No, see, I had already started cutting a hole in it. I had already started cutting a hole. And then I'm like, oh, I should ask Candy. And then I stopped.
He'll be on board.
And then I stopped.
But up until months later, you were still positioning it as I was preventing you from doing something awesome.
Yes,
and it was not awesome.
You were. I'll push it. I did stop, but it was because, yeah. Or like just something simple. I'll grab my napkin and you're like, don't.
Yeah, and why is that?
Because I will usually throw it at you.
100%.
But I already had the idea in my head, so I was about to do it anyways.
So do I need to start as, hey, thanks for making dinner. Quick reminder, nobody pick up napkins and throw them at me during dinner, please. Because then you'll be like, well, why did you give me that idea? Because that's your other thing.
That's true.
If I say it, you're just like, well, why would you say that? Because now I have to. So there's a no-win situation for me here.
It's not opposition. It's impulsivity. It's impulsivity. It's just so overwhelming. I can't even control it.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm aware.
And we have this ironic processing in the brain. We've talked about this, right? We don't say don't because then the brain's like, ooh, that's really important or that's really cool. I got to do that thing for our kids, right? So we got to see it in the positive. Hey, everybody, let's keep our napkins on the counter.
And do you know what had happened? Do you know what would happen if I said that?
What?
Why are you saying it's so weird? And as I'm explaining to the children why I said it's so weird, you would have balled yours up and thrown it at the side of my head. That's the life I live.
So funny.
I listen to what you say and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try that. And as I'm trying to do that thing that you said, well, this is how you have to do it, you blindside me with the behavior I'm trying to correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And I will say the most recent thing our daughter got in trouble for, I will say, is a direct reflection of this.
Like, honest to God, it could have been 1990 and it was you.
So the class got in trouble for she didn't tackle another student to begin with, but the class got in trouble. They were playing football and it was supposed to be just like non-contact football, but somebody tackled somebody. So the teacher was yelling at them, brought them all together, yelling at them and like, don't tackle. Teacher turned away and Willow immediately tackles another kid. And he turns around, he's like, 4 goddamn seconds. You couldn't last 4 god. And then everyone got sent inside and some privileges were revoked. And now Willow's in trouble.
By everybody,
By everybody, friends and teachers.
Which does lead to the topic that I wanted to discuss today in terms of in those situations. So this is a specific one, but we can also broaden it to a wider conversation as well. But in those situations, what can we as parents do to help our children deal with social pressures and social responses, like to situations that they are a part of or generated? And the reason why I think we'll start with the specific is because that's a very what can we do to help her through it? But I think it leads to a much bigger, in general, how can we help kids deal with the societal pressure? So using that example, which she will love the fact that we're bringing it up, but it's hilarious because it's just such a minor thing, right? Like it is just such a goofy, silly kids messing around thing, but she
and
should have
totally
done
something I would have done.
Totally, but as we've talked about in the past, should she have done it? No, she was given instructions not to do it. Right? Do we understand why she did it? Yeah, totally.
It's funny.
Yeah, she's got 50% Blanco DNA. That's why she did it. And you come by it honestly, too, because the modeling that you had as a child was your dad would have 100% done the exact same thing because he would have heard, don't do this, and he would have 100% found a way to do it.
You think so?
Oh.
It's funny because she didn't want to bring it up. Like because it was just one of those, I'm like, hey, how was your day? Good. She's already suspicious. She's like, why do you ask? Oh, I was just wondering, why did something happen? She's like, did you get an email? I'm like, or no, did you get a call? Why did you get a call? So right away, I'm like, yes, I didn't get a call. I got an email to set up a call.
Yeah.
And she's like, I knew it. I knew he was going to reach out to you. It wasn't even that big of a deal. And I'm like, well, why don't you tell me what it was before? I didn't get an email. I didn't get a call. I was legit just asking how her day was, but she was already feeling guilty.
She ran it herself.
She's a kid who cannot.
Well, and I knew something was up too because she came in and sat on the nesting chair and was staring off into space like a condemned person.
She wears her heart on her sleeve.
And I'm like, what's going on? Nothing. Why? I'm like, because bro, you're acting weird. So I was just asking how you're doing. I'm fine. And then, right? So I knew something was up. I didn't realize it was that. But in that situation, so the follow to that, like the situation is a situation, whatever. Like she absolutely should have listened to the teacher in that sense. She didn't. Is it the end of the world? No. But the outcome from what we're hearing, and we don't know the full outcome because we're not there, so we're only hearing her perception of it, is her friends are not happy with her. Other kids in the class are not happy with her and are openly sharing that repeatedly. Whereas the girl she tackled, quote unquote tackled, and the original offender, who happens to be a friend of hers, all three of them are like, this isn't a big deal. Like, why is everybody freaking out? So in that sense, what is the best way to try and help with this isolated incident to help her get through it? Because it's really, truly affecting. She doesn't want to take the bus right now. She doesn't want to hang out with her friends right now. She
had some school avoidance. She didn't want to go to school the next day.
So how can we help with that specifically?
And for any, any kid that's got any sort of pressure, it always comes down to listening first, right? We're going to listen without fixing. It's that validation, just being there. And I think that I mean, when she told me, first of all, I laughed because it's hilarious and I would have done the exact same thing. And that already took some edge off, right? And she knows she's already been in trouble at school. She's already gotten in trouble with her friends. We don't need to also get her in trouble. There has already been punishment enough. Yeah. So, I mean, I always come back to connection over correction. We're going to validate. This is tough. Like, we're going to acknowledge how bad of a situation it was. We don't need to lecture her. She already knows what she did wrong. Yeah. And that's not going to help if we lecture because she's just going to shut down, right? We also don't need to fix it. I mean, really, this is her thing to fix. We can be there to guide. So what are you going to do? How are you going to handle it? Right? You still got to go to school tomorrow. You still got to take the bus. That night, the friend who was most mad at her, she actually was carpooling to go, to an extracurricular thing out after after school. So it's really about, we don't have to fix everything.
Yeah.
It's or lecture. It's just about to be there, to create that space so that they feel heard. That's always sort of the first thing. Um, I mean, I'm really good at normalizing it just because that's what I do, right? Like that's
Mhm.
what I do, and that's part of the ADHD brain. I mean, we can't ever blame it on the ADHD if you have a neurodivergent kid, and lots of kids make mistakes without even thinking too,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes we can externalize that. Like for us, we can externalize the ADHD, but we're not, I mean, we are still accountable for our
Yeah.
actions, right? We can't just say, oh, I got ADHD, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm still going to get a speeding ticket. I'm still going to, like there's still consequences that need to be faced. Um, but we can externalize it, right? When else does this impulsivity show up? How can we get on offense? Sometimes that's valuable, right?
Yeah.
But this is part of the reason we need to have shame and guilt, right? And she feels shame and guilt. I don't want to take that away from her because that is the best learning. The learning's not coming from us. It's from her own brain and processing these emotions and processing the situation. So that's why we just need to create that space.
Yeah.
So she's got to feel the shame, she's got to feel the guilt because that's what guides behavior, especially in group context. That's
Yeah.
why we have those feelings. It's to guide our behavior so we ensure we're still part of our tribe.
Yeah.
Because I always go back, our brains haven't changed in 250,000 years. You got to be part of that tribe to survive. And so that's why we have these feelings. So yeah, we don't want to do anything to disrupt like that kind of stuff too.
We also don't want to add to it as well, right? Like if they're
Yeah.
already feeling it and you can see that it's there, you don't need to heap it on, right? I think is
Right.
a big part of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then you have a kid that's so crippled and paralyzed by that feeling that they're not able to process their path forward, right? So you gotta really read that.
Yeah. And I think that like this is just for one sort of isolated incident. It always comes back to that. But if we look, like if we expand out on bigger pressures, there's probably lots of different domains across development, right? Pressures to like Pokemon. You don't like Pokemon? You like Zelda? That's weird. Like for younger kids, it could be just very concrete things like that. As they get older, it's more about relationships or dating, or I mean, it still could be interests as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're still seeing that right now, like with hockey. What? You like the Oilers, or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like it's just so sometimes there's these broader things as well, and it still comes back to validating, normalizing. We're not going to try to fix it. We're just going to be there. But we aren't adding on to that pressure. And I think there's things that we can do as well in terms of protecting self-care, downtime, rest,
Mm-hmm.
play, having fun. Like I always come back to that because we just don't have, everything's pressure, pressure, pressure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's those kinds of things too, but I don't know if
No,
that's the direction you're
that
wanting
was
to go.
great. Yeah,
Or...
no, I never have a direction to go. Kind of starting point, so we can end up wherever we want. I think there's a few things that you hit on in there that's kind of important, which is the play thing is interesting, and part of what you need to work through, I think, as a parent is in the moment, like you got to figure out the time to try and apply a different path to it or a different approach to it, because in the moment they're going to be resistant to anything, right? If you're trying to talk to them or you're trying to distract them immediately upon kind of the revelation or the situation, a lot of times it's going to be met with, I don't know, no, fine, whatever. And then they'll just shut down. So you got to really be kind of aware of that as well.
Mm.
And, but sometimes, I mean, the other thing as well is you got to know your kids well enough to know when you can kind of push through that too, right? Like
Mhm.
one of the greatest joys that you and I share as parents is the ability to annoy them at the drop of a hat.
Oh, yes.
And I think, approach it less as an activity and more just an outcome of who you are. I think you annoy them when you don't mean to, right? But then you double down, oppositional, you double down. Um, Whereas I'm more tactical in how I
Are you
apply
saying
it.
I'm annoying? Is that what
I'm
you
saying the
just said?
children say you're annoying. I find you perfect in every way. The
Mm-hmm.
children find you in the way and tell you
Mm-hmm.
that openly.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of hugs that you try to dole out that are received by a person whose arms are straight at their side and their neck is back and their eyes are looking for help. That's your starting point with our children a lot of times. I don't know if you realize that. But I think all that to say, like all joking aside, I think part of it though is sometimes you do have to push through a little bit to try and get them to drop that, but you got to know when and how much to push, right? Like, don't, it's like anything. Life is gray, right? The situation is not black and white, right? There are black and white components to it, but at the end of the day, you got to read what's going on and you got to change course sometimes. And I think it was really interesting. Like, I think it was really interesting when you're talking about the fact that a lot of these things that are happening, it's the peer and the community group that's going to put upon them what is actually what the situation is for them to try and process, right?
Hmm.
And this all roads lead back to social media. Like this is one of the things that a lot of times, a lot of that pressure that you would see at a younger age, one on one, kids are dealing with 100 to 1 when it
Oh yeah.
comes to TikTok and Snap or whatever's going on. I've officially reached that age where I don't know what the current trendy social media is. So, I mean, I have no clue.
I know TikTok's out there because there's this challenge right now that's causing a lot of disruption and
Yeah.
distraction. But
Yeah.
so I know TikTok's still a thing.
Okay. So we'll just say TikTok. And when we say TikTok, we mean all social media, whatever the current fad is. But you as a parent don't really know what's happening at any given point on those things. It's part of the danger of them. And everybody says they know it, but again, most parents, 80% of parents will just throw their hands up as like, well, what are you going to do? Right. Once they're on it, all their friends have it, whatever. So I think you really got to figure out a way to try and have those conversations with them to help process that in a more rational way,
Mm.
right? Like if it's a like the example at the beginning, right? We know exactly what happened and what she could have done differently and all the pieces of it. So it's easy to talk about. When you don't see the other parties that are involved, it's a lot trickier, right? So how do you try and work with them to help them process that to get to where they need to get to move forward? I guess that's the challenge. I don't even know if there's really an answer to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something else I was going to say there, but now I've forgotten it.
Do you want to just sit here silently while you think about it?
No, that's okay.
You don't think that's good radio?
Well, yeah, I can't remember. It was important too, because it was going to like jump into another key piece about this, but
Well, we can come back to it. It usually spikes after a while. So in this situation, like,
oh, I think it was just about like the broad pressures that now come to
yes,
us. Like everybody's got a phone. I need a phone.
yes.
Mom and dad, you need to give me a phone, but that might be separate from what you were just going to
No,
go. So
that's fine.
what were you going to say?
Mine was just more situationally specific in terms of like you made the comment around how, you can't avoid going to school, right? In a situation like that. Um, with the most recent situation where the carpooling didn't like it was used typically a round trip, but then all of a sudden that was changed. Um, the question I have for that is, I guess, when is it appropriate to try and maybe you can't really answer because it's situationally dependent, but when is it probably okay to let them make that decision that for what's best for them is to avoid temporarily and when not, or is it always a blanket you just have to deal with it and push through?
Well, like I think if there's real harm, like if you were gonna be put into a situation where there's true bullying
Yeah.
happening, for example, there was true harm being done, then obviously that's not just a suck it up princess sort of thing. And
No,
it's never a suck it up, but
no.
but we can't rob our kids of the opportunity to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's it. She was very uncomfortable going to school because she didn't know. It's the uncertainty, right? The unpredictability. I don't know how everyone's going to respond. The next day was totally fine. It
Yeah.
was just the one friend,
Yeah.
right? But everybody was totally fine, totally forgot about it. Like it's just, and so even the teacher acknowledged that you know,
Wasn't that big of a
it
deal.
wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So, but she would have known that if she didn't go to school.
Yeah.
Right? She never would have known that. So she would have been sitting through the whole weekend and now just creating this big story in her mind about how everybody hates her. So it's not until like that's why avoidance is so bad. You got to be able to go back into that situation to really see what the outcome is, not
Yeah.
the conspiracy that you've spun in your head. But if she was going back into real harm where she was going to be beat up or, something
Yeah.
like that, then obviously we're going to look at different routes. The round trip being picked up by that friend's dad, I mean, that would be sitting in some discomfort, right? And it's already uncomfortable for her. So,
Yeah.
um, I think that's where we need to separate it. Are we like robbing them of the opportunity for really important emotion regulation, sitting in that discomfort and learning that I can handle it? Or, are we going to avoid real harm being done?
Well, I think it's trying to teach them to recognize the difference between danger and discomfort, right? Because I think that's exactly what you're saying is if there's a real if there's a real potential that they're going to be harmed, then they need to know that they can
Yeah.
deal with that, right? But I think you're right. I think they tend to create they over embellish discomfort to potentially be harm when really that's never going to be the outcome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then just for the everyday pressures, I don't know, that could be another one, or do we get into that? I don't know. We just
let's
keep
get
going
into
into
it.
it. Yeah. So, I mean, that comes back to we talked like last week about our values,
Mhm.
right? And what's important to us. And I know that we did, not so much now that Willow's a teenager, but when both girls were in elementary, from both of them, we did get, well,
Yes.
everybody's got, I don't even remember, like Instagram or
Yeah.
Snapchat or
Yeah.
or whatever. And so we need to be careful, right? Like, what is the lesson? Oh, just because everybody has it, we're going to give it to you,
Yeah.
right? And then what happens when you're a teenager? Oh, just because everybody's doing this really bad thing, that's permission to do it,
Yeah.
right? As long as everybody's doing it. So, I mean, we don't want to teach that lesson, but that was an important value for us. We just knew that social media was not great for kids, not necessary for kids, and we stuck with that. And I always like writing it down. I'll tell families to write a chart. I'm open to having the discussion, like with Willow with the cell phone. I'm open to having the discussion when you're 16.
Yeah.
So now you just become a broken record. You can point, you don't even have to say anything, right? If you do, it's just 16, 16, 16, 16 until that futility sets in.
Yeah.
Ah, fine. And then
Yeah.
they storm off annoyed. That's great, right? Because
Yep.
they know you've set that boundary and you are keeping that boundary.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to know. And they're going to push against that boundary 100%. But if you keep it, they will finally back down. It might take a long time, but that's why I like writing it down because then you can just point 16, 16, 16,
Yes.
right? Or
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah. Refer back to the same thing over and over again. So it's not a surprise.
Yeah. So those things are really important because it's easier to give than to take away.
Yeah.
Like, oops, I shouldn't have done that. So, but establishing those, but have a good reason why,
Yeah.
a really good rationale. It's not just because I said so. Kids are more likely to sort of buy in when we do have
Yeah.
a good reason.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And rationale. They might not like it, and that's okay. But
Yeah, they might do. I mean, but they also, if it's presented in the right way, yeah, whether they like it or not is irrelevant. They'll understand it, right? And they'll either understand that it's not something you're going to move on from, or they understand that it's just because they don't like it doesn't mean it's not true, right?
Yeah.
And they can typically get there unless they're in a highly emotional state, in which case everybody's the worst and they're out to get them, and they'll never get to that point in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, nicely done. We solved it, nailed it.
Yay. You and your oppositional wife.
Yeah, you did good. You stayed on point. You didn't fight me. Appreciate it.
But it's all in good fun, right? Am I ever oppositional to like meanness or really badness or negative?
I don't think so, but it doesn't feel fun after 10 minutes of having the same argument.
Like what?
Dog leashes, dog leashes.
Dogs are happier off their leash.
For sure. For sure.
And it's
I
way
don't
easier.
disagree with
It's
that.
way easier on my back too.
Okay, cool. So why do we keep getting dogs if we can't control them?
You
Like that I think is the core problem, not the leash.
can control them. They always come back to me.
See, no, no. See, this is the problem. Just because the outcome is that they return doesn't negate the fact that the situation was started incorrectly. They should never have been allowed to leave to come back. And the fascinating part is every time they run away, you're somewhat surprised. Like this is a new, oh, they wouldn't have done that if there wasn't a rabbit. Well, you know what? This neighborhood is 90% rabbits. Like, what did you expect was going to happen?
I'm not letting them out the front to come like take garbage out with me anymore.
You just did.
Well, with Winnie, she doesn't run away yet.
Yet. Yet, see, you
So,
even know that's going to be the outcome.
well, if she's never taught that behavior, then it's fine. I used to bring her and Sunny out together because Sunny would be good. But now, because Sunny just is like, oh, there's another dog. We should run away together. So I can't bring Sunny out with Winnie. And Pepper's privileges were revoked ages ago. Sunny's is revoked ages, well, a little more recently.
We've hit the point where this conversation is no longer fun. It feels oppositional just to be oppositional.
All right. And the only time I'll let Winnie off on our walks is when it's all like sort of fenced. There's nowhere she can really run.
You
It's the
literally,
community.
literally in an open field within the community yesterday, dropped her leash, turned around, looked at me and went, oops. And then she took off.
But there was nowhere for her to run. Like it was a fairly enclosed area. It's not like we were down by the street or anywhere, right? Like it was a fairly enclosed area.
I need to go on the city's website and change all the contact information to your information. That's what I need to do. Because part of the problem is I get the phone calls if anything goes wrong.
And then I called Akio and she came. She paused and looked at us for 2 beats, but then she came immediately. Immediately. Her recall's good right now.
For now.
Mhm.
It always changes.
Good day.
Good day.